Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Good night to be alive. Good night to be alive. Of course,
Every
every night's a good night to be alive, isn't it? If we want to
So you don't want that one exception for sure.
You do not. You do not. That just screws up everything. Ask the Arizona Coyotes about that. Bruce, the Edmonton Oilers trounced the Arizona Coyotes 5-1. And there was a huge difference in the talent of those two teams. It was tremendous. And the Oilers certainly didn't bring their A game.
Nothing close, really.
Nothing close, but they got the result. And wow, Arizona's a terrible hockey team. This is our Two Good Things, Two Bad Things, and Two Numbers podcast. And because it's a Oilers victory, we'll go with two good things each. What's your first good thing?
I'm going to shout out for the Oilers penalty killing unit, which had a strong game tonight. 4 penalty kill, I guess you could call them opportunities and challenges. And not only did they kill all 4 off, they actually outscored Arizona 1-0, thanks to the game-winning shorthanded goal by Zach Hyman early in the second period. That really was when the game turned fairly heavily in Edmonton's favor. And they had Arizona had 8 minutes of power play time, and they mustered just 3 shots on net. And the Oilers, look at this, I just noticed this, the Oilers outshot the Arizona power play 4-3. The Oilers had four shots shorthanded, and Arizona had 3 on the power play. How's that? You don't see that very often. And one of those 4 shots went in. So it was, but I like their control. Like, I like the number of times they just controlled and iced the puck, or even they got control of the puck, and rather than just blindly ice it, they looked around and made a play. And in fact, it was such a play by Nugent Hopkins that set Hyman away, where normally you'd expect he got the puck free inside the blue line, he just whip it down. And he knew he had a little bit of time and space, and so he, had his head on the swivel a bit. I'll feed it up to Hyman, and all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1 after Nurse absolutely flies into the play. And Hyman holds the puck and fires a perfect shot in off the post to give the Oilers a 2-0 lead and some breathing room, and they really had the breathing room the rest of the way after that. So another fine job by that unit, and three pairs of forwards who contribute to that, and 2 pairs of defensemen that are really carrying the mail for the PK unit.
Not exactly missing right now Josh Archibald or Jujhar Khaira on the PK, are they?
Well, they didn't miss them tonight, that's for sure. I mean, this wasn't exactly the test,
No,
this wasn't the 79 New York Islanders power play.
I was going to say the 1980s New York Islanders, Bruce.
I think it's the 79 team that holds the record, but anyway, it's right there. They were dominant for years.
About 6 or 7 years in a row, they clipped along at an amazing rate of power play efficiency. And this power play on the Oilers, there's no reason they can't do the same thing if everyone remains healthy and on the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, and Hyman's goal was an interesting one because it's almost like you'd expect him to stop that. But he did something with his. I'm not sure what he did. He changed. He didn't make a movement with his stick, but I don't know. He kind of did something with the puck on his stick at the last second, ascended in a direction I don't think the goalie was expecting. And as the legendary skills coach Jim Fleming says, there's a difference between shooting and scoring. And on that shot, Hyman did something, I think, that made that a goal with it. And I'm not exactly sure what it was, but he tricked the goalie with that shot.
Something about the release, eh?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the shot itself drilled the post on the way in, like it was a perfectly placed shot.
Great shot.
And it rang the iron pretty loud. I thought he'd hit the post, and then they said it carried on into the net. So Well, it was a nice night for that unit, and they had through 2 periods. Arizona had 3 power plays to none for Edmonton, and yet the score was 3-0 for Edmonton, and it was in large part because of the work of the PK. So that's my first good thing.
Bouchard made some nice plays on the PK as well. I thought
He
he's
clears
looking
the
good there.
puck a lot, eh?
He's
Gets it,
just,
clears it.
yeah, his good hands with the puck really pays off because he's also big enough to play the position, like and sound enough defensively. But when he gets the puck on his stick, he really makes nice plays with it. Like it's usually out. My first good thing, Bruce. I really loved Darnell Nurse's game. I thought he played just a dominant game. He didn't make any major mistakes on grade A chances against, according to our count. The Oilers had 10 grade A shots versus 6 grade A shots for the Coyotes, which is a really low event game in terms of the Coyotes' ability to muster grade A shots. Nurse was a physical demon again. He pancaked Chikrin. He had a couple of really hard hits. He moved the puck well. He defended well. He was he reminded there was that one shift on I think it was the PK where he blocked a shot, charged up the ice, and got a partial breakaway. He
Yeah,
just reminded me it was kind of a Eddie
yeah.
Shore kind of game. He's the 20. Darnell Nurse is the Edmonton Express of the 21st century. Shore
I
was
like
the
it.
Edmonton Express of the 20th century. That's what he's playing like this big, tough, rugged customer who rushes the puck. That's what Shore was known for, was ruggedness and rushing the puck
Mm-hmm.
and charging up the ice. And that's how Nurse is playing the game. I just thought he was really, really, really strong.
Yeah, well, twice he jumped up on the penalty kill. Once, as I say, on that Hyman goal,
Yeah.
and it was his quick decision. Once Nugent Hopkins had the puck, like Nurse took off even before Nuge made the pass to Hyman. But he could see the opportunity. He blasted into the free and clear, and it was 2-on-1. And then there was that other play you mentioned earlier, very late in the first period, where he jumped into the rush and took the pass and just went right around the defenseman and forced a very tough save by the young Arizona goal, Karel Vejmelka, I think. Uh, that's a tough one. So anyway, and he made a real good. I think he got his shoulder on it. I think Nurse's shot was going under the crossbar, and he got a piece of it and put it over. But two, short-handed but very decisive moves by Darnell and deadly ones resulted in one goal and could have resulted in a second. So some nice contributions in that respect. But boy, he's playing hard, eh? Like
Yeah.
he's playing with some real edge. It's the third game out of four that he had 8 hits in the game. That's a lot. That's a once in a long while thing. Well, it's 3 times in the first 4 games of the season thing for Darnell Nurse at this point.
Uh, Bruce, what's your second good thing?
Well, I got to go with the Oilers power play, David. And the Oilers power play they had 2 opportunities, both in the third period, and it took them all of 58 seconds on the 2 power plays combined to score 2 goals. 3 shots, though one of them didn't go in, but the other 2 did, and so they improved their already uber effective power play just another notch, and they just made it look so easy. I mean, the second one was 11 seconds, and it was just win the draw, make 2 or 3 passes, make a deadly cross seam pass, bury it, done deal, and just
Yeah.
business as usual. It seems like they're just so they've got this killer instinct. These guys, as they get older and more mature, it's just going to become more and more routine. I'm convinced of it.
Drysdale had a pretty quiet game at even
He
strength,
did.
but he kicked off both of those goal scoring sequences with face-off wins. Winning the face-off, I think,
Yeah.
is overrated at even strength, but underrated in special teams.
Mm-hmm.
And you win that first face-off on the power play, and you are set up. You are good to go. If he could keep
Mm-hmm.
doing that, that's going to be good. And Arizona, the number one thing you must do against the Oilers power play, which is hard to do, is stop the cross ice. When they start knifing and slicing that puck cross ice, um, they will kill you. And both goals came on cross ice passes as passes from Nuge to McDavid. You must take that away. You must make Nugent Hopkins shoot or Barry shoot. And I don't know what you're going to try to do. That's probably the best strategy. Make Barry and Nuge shoot as much as possible. Now Nuge is a very smart player, right? He doesn't shoot unless he's got a good shot to take. He's very smart. So that's the problem in trying to stop that strategy. He'll put it down to Hyman down low. Hyman put it over to McDavid for a chance. Again, that went cross seam and almost scored there. So Nuge or he'll do the back pass, to Barry.
Yeah.
And then Barry will fire it over to Draisaitl or McDavid for the one-timer that way. So, yeah, Bruce, I agree with you. It's just going to get more efficient. It's going to get harder to stop because these guys are so smart. They're getting to be calmer, smarter,
and more machine-like in their execution.
Yeah. I think when Klefbom was there, one strategy was to maybe try to make him shoot, like really, just leave that open shot for him. Chicago did that when they beat the Oilers in the playoffs, and it was effective. But I'm not seeing. I'm wondering how teams are going to do this. All right, Bruce. My second good thing is Warren Foegele's goal. I think Warren Foegele, there was a lot of people really unhappy with the Ethan Bear trade. I think Warren Foegele is that's not going to change. The people who really loved Ethan Bear are going to miss him. I get that. Like if he was your
I miss Ethan Bear, and he was very close to my favorite player. But
there you go.
I'm an Oilers fan, and he's not here anymore, and I'm not going to take it out on Warren Foegele.
Well, that's good. That's the mature fan attitude, and it's not going to. It's okay to mourn the loss of your favorite player. I still wish Risto Siltanen had been on some of those Stanley Cup winning teams all these years later. That said, the trade with Siltanen worked out, and this trade is looking pretty good right now too. Foegele, he is just a big barreling hockey player, and he and Cassian. They add an element. If they keep playing like this, they're adding an element of physical play to the third line, which we haven't seen in quite some time. I don't know, there's third line. Like those guys they are heavy loads. And Fogel's goal, Bruce, he scored a few goals like this in Carolina where he kind of barges in there. It was a crazy kind of kamikaze rush up the ice, very chaotic, going this way, that way, and beating the D-man and then slamming home the goal. Always on the edge, it looked like a falling down, but never doing so. Hell of a play by what looks to be a very useful hockey player for the Edmonton Oilers.
I heard an interesting comp tonight. I think maybe it was Louis DeBrusque who brought up Ethan Morrow as a comp for Warren Foegele and his style of play. And I thought, that's I can't just throw it out. Sometimes you hear it and you just go, no, that's not right. But I thought, that's not bad. Big, barging winger, likes to make things happen, likes to, play a physical game, hasn't got the best hands in the world, but lots of willpower, and you don't want to get in his way, And so in that sense, he's, he has some similar attributes to Ethan Morrow, let's put it that way. And you want to talk about big banging wingers. Did the Oilers ever have a more effective pair of banging wingers on one line than Ethan Morrow and Mike Greer when they played alongside Todd Marchant?
Ooh.
So
Morrow
was quite about Derek Ryan as the Todd Marchant role, but that's the kind of line it is.
Morrow wasn't quite as good taking the puck to the net, I don't think, as Foegele. Would be one slight difference. And Morrow was probably more of a ferocious player. Like, we haven't seen yet what Foegele has in that category. He's a tough guy, but Morrow was absolutely ferocious. But I accept the comp too. I think it's not it's way out close enough. It's not way. Your bad thing.
Yeah, my bad thing is disappointment that Arizona was the team that was picked to be taken out of the Pacific Division because they're all set up to be a free space on the bingo card in terms of a playoff berth. For
years.
I mean, they're going to give teams trouble on this night and that, but in terms of contending for a playoff berth, no chance. And if they say move Vegas to the Central Division instead of which is, same time zone. Vegas is a little further west. I looked it up on a map just to be sure. But there's really kind of 9 teams that sort of naturally fall into the Pacific, so they had to move one out when Seattle came in, and it was Arizona. So I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but I mean, you could just say a bad thing is the Arizona Coyotes. Their team is a mess. They got a bunch of guys that I don't know who they are. Ilya Lyubishkin, right?
He's Mrs. Ilya Vyshkin's
Husband.
Husband. Yeah. Husband. Yeah. There we go.
On the bright side, and this is a bonus good thing for me, but I got to mention I'm Dyson Mayo, long-time 4-year member of the Edmonton Oil Kings and Memorial Cup champion. Now 25 years old and 5 full seasons in the minor league. Played his first NHL game tonight. He did get burned by Warren Foegele on the first Edmonton goal, but he scored the Arizona goal on a great shot from the high slot. And I mean, how good is that for some kid that's been waiting all these years to finally get in the NHL to score in his first game? Fantastic. And congratulations to you, Dyson Mayo. I love it, even if you score against the Oilers. As long as it's in a losing effort, I love it.
All right, I'll meet your bonus good thing, Bruce, with
Okay.
a bonus good thing of my own. Mikko Koskinen he didn't have a lot of action, but in the first period when he was called upon to make some saves, he did so. So I thought that was good.
He was rock solid, and he was that game could have got ugly early, and the Oilers could have been down, 1-0, 2-0, and maybe they fight back and win it, but they would have, would have had to take a lot more. And Mikko holding them in the early going while they were getting their crap together was a big part of the win, and then he kind of had a quiet night thereafter.
There's not a lot of players from that 2013-14 Oil Kings team that have made the NHL.
Ooh.
And I think Lazar still might be there.
Yes.
And the goalie, Tristan Jarry. But other than that, like I thought Henrik Samuelsson was going to be an NHLer for a decade. He was such a good power forward, and he just got injured and he never made it. Mitch Moroz didn't come close, really.
Griffin Reinhart
just didn't have it, and he wasn't quick enough. I wasn't a huge Griffin Reinhart fan even then. Like I didn't see it. I didn't see what everybody else saw because I didn't see the speed. I didn't see the offensive game that that would make a top 4 D-man in the NHL. Maybe a bottom pairing guy. Anyway,
I'm shocked. I'm still shocked he didn't make the NHL. I have to say I thought he was can't miss. Whether it's third pairing or second pairing, but it just never happened.
And Edgar Skulda, who was a really skilled player, I thought might have had a chance too. Anyway, Bruce, my bad thing is, well, Brendan, in a game like that, there's not a lot of bad things. So when I single out Brendan Perlini here, it's not like he was particularly bad in that game. I think I scored him as a 5 out of whatever, like 5 out of 10 in the Celtic hockey game grades. He was okay, but he's not showing much, and he's only got 1 shot in these games that he's played this year. After, getting a goal a game, he can't even get a shot a game. And this was the concern. Like, what does he bring if he's not scoring and shooting? And we're not seeing much. And I think Tyler Benson should get in right now, like next game. And let's see what he has, because Perlini's, he's not costing them anything, but he's not giving them anything. So why not go with Benson? Like, give the kid a game, see what he can do. I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler Benson has a good game because he's a good hockey player. So
he did play 10 minutes tonight, and in fact every single Oiler played double-digit minutes tonight, and that did relieve much of the stress off of the big minute munchers. I mean, Connor McDavid only played 15 and a half minutes. Draisaitl played 17 and a half. Nugent Hopkins was just over 18. That was the top forward, and even Nurse, 24 minutes and 55 seconds, which is a lot of work, but for him, that's his, it's his quietest night to date. And with the Oilers having to play again tomorrow night, getting a hold of this game and being able to just roll the lines down the stretch was big. They should be fresh for tomorrow, including, I think, Koskinen, who I think will get to start tomorrow.
Probably, right? That would be Tippett's MO, right? Like,
I'm thinking, what would Tippett do? Not what would Bruce do if he was the coach? breaking. I'm not the coach. I'm just trying to figure out what the actual coach is going to do, and my guess is he's going to go with Koskinen.
Yeah, I think so as well. Although Stuart Skinner wouldn't be a bad bet. He looked good in the preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked him. And I mean, if there is, like, if they do hear from, like, if there's any indication, like, if it's not just performance, but if there's risk of injury on this, on back to back, like, if there's any, and I don't know about that. I know there's some looking at the goalies and they don't play quite as well in their second game. I understand there's been,
Right.
analytical dives into that, but I don't know about injuries and about the recovery of the body and if there's any increased risk of injury playing back to back games. If there was, I would play Skinner for sure because you can't risk Mikko Koskinen getting hurt now. Even though Smith might not be out that long, but you don't know. And we do know this, that when Mike Smith was injured and banged up in recent years, that's when he was bad and slumped.
Yeah.
So, and this is the concern that I have about the whole thing. So I would be just as happy to see Stuart Skinner myself, but I'm okay.
I wouldn't be totally shocked, but I would put the odds in favor of, especially that he didn't have to face 40 shots tonight, and
especially in the third, it was quiet.
Yeah, and Koskinen now, I mean, he waited his turn. He started 3 games in a row on the bench. He came in halfway through the game, third game, settled everything down, won the game, and tonight more of the same. Like, so, two good games, 2 wins so far for Koskinen. And my guess is the coach will say, "Yeah, we're going to run with you for a while, Mikko. You were a good soldier." And this is where there was some debate on the internet about this, and some of the people that have bought in completely to this idea that it's insane to ever play the same goalie in back-to-backs, or getting on my case when I said on Twitter that I think Tippett will start Koskinen in both games. And the suggestion was, well, the Vegas game's more important, so they should hold back Koskinen till the Vegas game. And I'm thinking, I wonder if, how to put this politely. It's human relations, man. I mean, the coach's job is working with real flesh and blood humans. He's not playing NHL 2022. Can you imagine if Dave Tippett went up to Mikko Koskinen this morning and said, "Well, Mikko, we had you start on the bench the last 3 games because you're the number 2, and tonight we're going to have you sit on the bench because now you're the number 1." And I mean, because we're holding you back for the more important game. I mean, I
think
it's not like he's tired. He's played counting tonight now 108 minutes in the last 2.5 weeks. Right?
Yeah,
it's not like he's been run into the ground. So, and then they have 4 more days off after this game. So, I'm Mikko Koskinen. I'm very much expecting. Okay, now I'm going to get some games in and get my traction in my own season, and so far so good. But anyway, we'll see what happens. It's Dave Tippett's decision.
Perhaps your critics were overthinking it, I would suggest. All right, Bruce. My battery power is running out, so we're going to have to go fast here.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, what's your number?
Okay, I got 2 numbers, and they're kind of related. They're 50 and 33. And those are the success rates of Edmonton's power play and Arizona's penalty kill. Edmonton's scored 7 goals on 14 chances for a 50% conversion rate, whereas Arizona's had 9 penalties and they've only managed to kill 3 out of the 9 and given 6 goals. So they have a 33% penalty kill. Have you ever heard the like? I mean, in a game,
that is
sure.
That is the shocking. They were so terrible, though. They were so bad at it. I'm not surprised. They just couldn't stop a pass. They couldn't win a face-off. They couldn't stop a pass. They were just horrible. So maybe they're a better team than I think, but they just looked like that. They just looked like one of the worst NHL teams I've ever seen.
I've never seen a situation where one team had a better power play rate than the opposition had penalty kill. Maybe in the Women's World Championship when Canada plays Kazakhstan or something.
Yeah.
It was. It's
don't undersell those Kazakhstani women, Bruce. They can play a mean game. All right, my number is 28. My number is 28. That's the number of hits Darnell Nurse has. I think he leads the NHL right now. The NHL, and I hope his body can hold up under that heavy load of crushing other people. But he's certainly doing it so far. He's laying on the. He's stepping up in a physical way, and it's I think it does have an impact on the other teams are, I think, aware of him out there now. I would be if I was on the ice. Who wouldn't be? I mean,
Yeah,
he's like 6'4", 220, and he
yeah.
hits to hurt. He's throwing people to the ice regularly. So
He's
the Edmonton
stepping up
Express.
he's stepping up at the blue line and taking piece out of guys, like proactively trying to stop the rush at the blue line with hard hits. He did it a couple more times tonight. He was leading the league in hits after Tuesday's game. I looked it up then. It's 20. He had two more than anybody else, and the other guys that were close had played 4 games.
Yeah.
And so now he's up to 28. And he had three
Delorier moved
different
to
games with 8 hits.
Yeah, Nicholas
Oh, there.
Delorier moved ahead of him for one game
Yeah.
there, but he has played an extra game, and now Nurse is ahead of him. So yeah, Darnell Nurse. I don't know what the most hits he's ever had in a season. I didn't look at that, but I mean,
And I'll say the same thing about Darnell Nurse that I will about Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and the Edmonton Oilers. Not one of them has played his best game or their best game yet this season, and they're 4-0.
I said that in my game grade about McDavid, and
Uh-huh.
I thought I was kind of stupid
Yeah,
saying it because he's got
I know.
11
I read
points in
it.
4 games, and it was like, why am I saying this? I'm just going to get ridiculed. But it's what I think. It's what I think. McDavid hasn't been particularly sharp defensively yet. And
Right.
he wasn't that game either. He was okay, but he made a few mistakes. But even on the attack, it seems like Bruce, we haven't like he's getting these points and he's playing great, but he's not yet come up with that McDavid kind of sensational game where he's just on fire. How many
Right.
points is he going to get? Like 30 when he has that game? Like
Well, they said
he's
tonight that
sweet.
he's had in his last 18 regular season games 47 points. And I said to my wife, that's a Gretzkyan
That's
pace. Anything
Gretzky.
over 2.5 points a game is Gretzky. And then I thought about it for a minute, and I said, you know what? In setting the NHL record in the 1985 playoffs, Wayne Gretzky scored exactly 47 points in exactly 18 games. So it's very Gretzkyan.
Well, if they keep the cross-checking out of the game, Bruce, it's a different game without the constant cross-checking. And if they keep that out, and I hope they do, like
Or they keep
this,
putting people in the penalty box and putting
yeah,
Connor on the power play.
yeah.
That's the
If they
other
keep
side
put
of it.
if they keep putting him on the power play, he's
I don't
got
think he's drawn
47.
a penalty yet this year, but the Oilers have drawn 14, and I think he's probably had a point on all of those 7 power play goals.
He's an amazing. He looks faster this year, Bruce, when he has the puck. He does like he hasn't played his A game, but when he does get that puck, he just is so assertive. Like I said, he's the man of the NHL. He bosses the game. He and Draisaitl, and they boss around the other players. So I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Same bat time tomorrow, same bat channel. Actually, yeah. Sportsnet 360 tomorrow night, folks, 8 p.m. against Vegas, division rival, and see if they can take it to 5-0 for the third time in 6 years. That'd be real nice. They comfortably made the playoffs the other 2 times. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast. Bye now.